Hello, I'm Bruce Zimmerman, and this is the Open Line Garden Show podcast for this week. Container theme gardens, 42 combinations using 5 perfectly matched plants. The book is by Nancy J. Ondra, and the photography is Rob Cardillo. Now, what you're going to find in this book, published by Story, is the idea that you can put very distinctive plants into the same container that have the same conditions that they will grow well in and do very well for you. Now, what I would do after I buy this book, I'd hide it. And then when all your friends come over and you look at the containers and the gardens and everything else, they're going to think you're just absolutely incredibly smart because you could put these different plants together and nobody else has. Well, we won't tell anybody. It's a great book in the fact that A, yes, it's full color. B, it's simple to do. The reason I like this book is because it lays it all out for different containers in different seasons, in different colors, in different locations, and you can even go down into things that are edible. So you can actually use this as an edible containers on balconies and patios, etc., as well as anywhere else in your garden. So it's a fun way of doing this. There's also a section on specialty themes. And what they've done there's 3 of them. Just right for the night. Okay, for those of you who want to be romantic at night, at dusk. Living perfume, for those who just love the scent and smell, because the garden is starting to lose a lot of scent. We're breeding for color and size, etc., and seem to be forgetting the scent. And then there's the Asian-inspired beauty, and that is one of my favorite ones. Now, it also covers ones where the size of the pot and what goes in it. So if you want to do a collection of the same size pot, and you can actually use different plants in the same pot, which can all go together. I think that is a good idea, because I know I like to cluster my pots. I like to rearrange my pots all the time, and it's so much fun just to go out there and rearrange them one morning. So I go out, have my breakfast, and I look at my containers, and I'm sitting there. I have gotten dressed by now. And then I start and I rearrange the containers. And it's fun. Here is one of the examples of plants. Now, you want something bold, right? But sometimes you want a little more towards the pastel. So here's Pretty in Pastel. It goes in full to partial shade. The container is 15 inches wide and 12 inches high. The plants that you use are Summer Glow Hummingbird Mint, the Lemon Blush Coleus, Purple Culinary Sage, Supertunia Flamingo, and Scopia Great Regal Blue. That's a Bacopia. What you're going to get in this is a full pot of plants that like the same conditions and will give you that full professional looking container. And that does exactly that. Then it goes and it actually shows you each plant, a close-up color picture of it, so that when you go out to a garden center and let's say they don't have that specific variety, but one the same color that would go in with this container, you can substitute out because you've got the book and you know exactly what the plant is going to look like. Much easier when you know what you're looking for when you go to a garden center, particularly when you're trying to put containers together. Now, the rich reds. I have used these plants, to be honest with you. I have not put all of these plants together, but I have done containers of some of them. And what this is the red coleus, dragon wings begonias, and I've done those too, but they add the Frida Hempel caladium. Okay, in other words, a red leaf caladium. I haven't done that. There are fleece flowers. I haven't done red fleece flowers in that. And I haven't done the big splash polka dot plant either. So, what you've got is a combination of plants, and they do it. Now, this is for a large container. This particular one needs a container 20 inches wide and 20 inches high, which means you're going to have to either size it down or eliminate if you want. But remember that when you do a container or any gardening design, it's usually odd numbers. So 5 suddenly becomes 3, and because an even number doesn't look as attractive to the eye. I've done it, but I've done it such that I balanced the plants on either side. So I was really only looking at 3 plants, even though I had put in only 3 kinds of plants or 2 kinds of plants. It's always good. So they do it by color. There's one for orange. And they also move into the silvers. And sometimes they're not the easiest to put together. Sometimes for some people, they find them very easy. But who knows? They do them for different seasons. So you've got ones that are great for spring, all summer, or fall. And it's all in the book. And it's all done by botanical name as well as common name. That's the other good thing. And with the actual accurate color pictures, you can substitute one that looks exactly the same, because sometimes you'll just have a heck of a time finding exactly that variety. There's so much selection out there that it's enough to drive anybody to drink trying to find them, and you'll be going to so many different garden centers and may never actually find them. They do them for shade as well as for sun and other conditions. They do plants that you wouldn't think of. There is a 5-plant container in here that uses Color Guard yucca, which is my favorite yucca, by the way, simply because in my area it gets that coral orangey pink in the winter when it starts to get cold, and still maintains a little yellow and green. So I think it changes with the cold weather, and then of course is totally hardy, spreads but not fast, grows but not so quickly that it's invasive like the straight filamentosa. So you can have lots of different plants in containers. They do edibles, I should tell you that, whether it's herbs and edible flowers as well as tomatoes. I like that. I've done tomatoes in containers, but you need often a large container. So all the way through, and they do get into some of the, let me go see if I can find it here. I didn't set it out, and I should have. It was one that's called, it's more plant material, and it's less, let's put it this way, it's going indoors for the winter, maybe. Depends on where you are. And again, some alternatives are actually given so that if one doesn't work. This is a one with Mingarelias, Japanese painted ferns, mondo grass, Dorset blue hostas, and Irish moss. Those are the plants that are in this combination. And some of them, like the Mingarelia, is indoors. Some of them are a little less hardy and can go out, but you may lose them. So to each his own. So go in and take a look. This book is published by Story, and it is written by Nancy J. Ondra and Rob Cardillo. It's a decent priced book. It's not ridiculously expensive, and not for a book of this size with this much information and color pictures all the way through. You'll have a hard time finding anything that is not a color picture. And readily recognizable plants. These are not so weird and exotic that you won't be able to find them in your local garden center. Now remember, this is the book Container Theme Gardens, 42 combinations, each using 5 perfectly matched plants. Story, publishers, Nancy J. Ondra, and Rob Cardillo. He does the photograph. Trust me, it is well worth the money, and please pick this up. Use this book to make you look like a shining star in your garden. I'm Bruce Zimmerman, and this is the Open Line Garden Show podcast for this week.